Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of After the Swipes with me, Mimi. Thank you all for being here. Before we get into it, please make sure to check to see if you're subscribed. Okay, if you're not, please hit the subscribe button and then also make sure to like this video. Okay, that's really helpful for me. So please just take a minute to check those two things. Okay, let's get into it. So this week, I actually want to talk a little bit about who I am, right? I realized that I haven't actually done like an intro video. Especially for new people that don't know me, it's like, why should you really give a damn? Right? Like, why should you really be watching this? Without like getting some more insight into like who I am, right? So this video is gonna talk a little bit about that, right? Like the person behind these stories, right? Because that's important. Okay. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about my background, who I am, and obviously I try to share more in the stories as well. And so I'm just gonna be more conscious about that. Make sure I'm doing that as well. I'm actually quite introverted. I can cosplay as extroverted, not too extroverted now, but I can cosplay a little. But I'm actually quite introverted. I do well in smaller groups, more intimate settings. I can definitely develop really good relationships one on one. But like large crowds, I want to go home. I want to go home and I want to get in bed. So I will actually share a funny story recently, like maybe a week ago or so. I tried to go for like a single social event. Okay. And I was actually on FaceTime with one of my really good friends. I don't want to give too much away. One of my really good friends. And so I had looked up the event. I happened to be in town already. And I wasn't too far. It was maybe 20 minutes drive away. Okay. And I actually knew someone else who I knew was attending the event. So I texted her. It's like, hey girl, I see that you're supposed to be here. Just want to make sure that you're there because otherwise I'm not going. There were gonna be like maybe 30, 40 people here. So otherwise, I'm not going. I know I'm not going. I know because I can go. Because I'm also very confident. So if it's like something for work or something like that, I will show up for something like that. But socially, just I'm tired. I'm getting in bed. I'm not going. And this is also part of why I'm single. You see how it's all making sense now. So I texted her and I was like, "Hey, girl, are you there yet?" And she took a while to answer. So I drove there. I was finding parking. Parking was a little difficult. And I was on the phone, talking to a friend, another friend on my way there. And I was like, she hasn't responded. Can I just go home now? Like, I'm here. Literally, I was already there. I was just looking for parking. And I was like, I'm just going to turn around and go home. Like, I'm tired. I'm going to. And, the person was like, but you're already there. Like, might as well just go in. I said, and luckily, she texted me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'll be so excited to see you. Yes, I'm here. Come in." And I said, "Oh, why did she text me back?" I was almost kind of sad that she responded. But obviously, now that she had responded, I did go. Okay. Okay, I did go. So I parked and I went and I did have a good time. Okay. Okay. I did have a good time. But yeah, and again, this is only because it was such a large crowd, and I don't know if I've shared this, but I don't drink, I don't smoke. So especially if it's a large gathering where most people are drinking and smoking and I don't have any issues with that. But also being the only person that doesn't, especially in a group where I don't know most of these people, I only knew one person there, it can be a little socially awkward for me. Being the only one that's sober and most people are very happily drunk. Yeah, it just makes it a little more awkward, when you're a little introverted. So it's a little harder to navigate. But either way, I had a great time. I was happy I went. I actually made some newer connections, which, it was good. So, I'm really trying to push myself more to do more things like that. Um, and really trying to push myself outside of my comfort zone. I think that's important, right? It's part of self growth, self development. So I try to do that every once in a while. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to share some more of those stories as well. I was born and raised in Nigeria. I think I've shared that in some of the videos. I went to boarding school. Okay, so the equivalent of like middle school and high school in the US. I went to 6 years of boarding school in Nigeria. It's what we call secondary school in Nigeria. I am the last of five. Okay, guys, but I am not the baby. Okay, I am not the baby, and I'm not spoiled. Okay, because usually when you say you're the last, people are like, oh, that means you're spoiled. No, I am not, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I will tell you why. Um, I did grow up somewhat abandoned just because there is such a huge age gap in my family. So my older sister is a good 18 years older than me. So number one in my family is 18 years older than me. So she's literally old enough to birth me. Okay. I actually grew up calling her auntie. Like, just take a minute to like process that. I grew up calling her auntie. Okay, but she's my sister. She's my blood sister. Same mother, same father. Okay, but I used to call her auntie. And that's a very Nigerian thing. Like, respect is such a big thing in our culture. Um but she was so much older. She had gotten married and like yeah, it's a whole thing. The sister right before me is 9 years older than me. So that's the smallest age gap that I have between me and my siblings. And so, by the time I was born, probably as somewhat of an oops baby. And sorry if you hear some background noise, it's my cat. He's just doing his own thing in the background. Yeah, I'm a cat mom. Yeah, this is the whole thing. I'll put a photo up of him. But anyway, so yeah, so there's a huge age gap in my family, guys. So I did grow up somewhat abandoned because everyone was out of the house, right? Off to college or already getting married and just doing their own thing. So I really didn't grow up, spoiled in a way. I mean, yeah, of course, it's maybe a little spoiled, but but not your typical last child. Let me just say that I'm not your typical last child. Okay. Um, yeah, definitely had a little bit of a different childhood in Nigeria. In some ways, I would say beneficial, right? To kind of the person I am today, especially going to boarding school. Um, I do think that helped instill like a lot of structure and a certain level of discipline in me, right? Kind of made me obviously the person I am. Good, the bad, the ugly, right? I may share more, I think, with time, just of some of those stories growing up in Nigeria as time goes on. Just to that note, I will say therapy has been very helpful for me. I am definitely a big supporter of therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy, even if you feel like you're perfect and you're healed. And if you do feel you're perfect and you're healed, you're probably not. Okay. So, just a note on that. I think it's very important to reflect, and nobody is perfect, right? And yeah, just a note on that. So that's kind of my background, right? So who am I today? I think my friends would describe me as someone that is very ambitious. I am very ambitious. You know I am someone that loves to set goals for myself, be it professional, personal, whatever. Definitely love to set some goals, knock those out, set some new goals. Okay. So I'm very ambitious. I think most Nigerians are, right? We definitely love to achieve and overachieve, right? I am very level-headed. I'm very calm, very chill person. Okay. I am the person that talks my friends off the ledge. So I'm also kind of the responsible one, right? I'm the one that, will teach you how to file your taxes. I will judge you if you don't file your taxes. Okay. I'm definitely very responsible. It's something I'm proud of too, right? I feel like, yeah, I don't think it's hard, but it's part of life. I am also very caring, actually. Very caring, but I feel like people can definitely take advantage of that. So I don't give that out. Okay, like you you know gotta earn it, so to speak. But yeah, definitely very caring. Obviously I'm a cat mom. I just mentioned my cat, right? I got him during COVID. I had always wanted a cat. Growing up in Nigeria, um, cats are maybe not the most loved animal back there. but I just always had a love for cats. And so during COVID, when everyone obviously was home, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it. And my mom was like, what? And now she loves him. So my cat is Gomez. And, the other day my mom was like, I think you need to get a blanket for Gomez. And I was like, why? She was like, because I think he's cold at night. And this is my very Nigerian mom. That's they could not. I mean, such a concept would not have been. I don't think I could have ever imagined her say such a thing. 4 years ago. So my advice to you is get the cats, get the whatever you want to get. People will adjust. Okay, get whatever you want to get. People will adjust. Yeah. I am an ally, so definitely support gay rights. I'm definitely a very. I don't even like to use the word strong. I feel like we're tired. Black women are tired. Okay, so, but I'm definitely very progressive, right? Support women's rights always. Okay. Yeah. So that's a little bit about me. Hopefully that gives you guys a better idea of who I am and some of my views and some of my background. And if you have specific questions, obviously respectful questions, feel free to pop them in the comment section. And yeah, I might answer some of them. I might answer some of them. Yeah. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, maybe even share it with a friend, and catch up on some of my other videos if you haven't already. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.